and kind of like was messing with the interior design as I do. And so I always say like I don't do architecture, but interior design I do. That's one of my mediums. I do interior design. So honey, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not building the bones. That's just too much. You know, the laying out is a lot, but I can do interior design for sure. And so I move, and so I'm the monarch in Ardarian as well because my title carries over. And I always knew in my head I was going to go back to Tartosa at some point. That point has not come, but that's what I would like to do. And so this house specifically, this was going to be originally that house. I always make my houses that I plan on living in vacation houses so no one can live here in the meantime. You know what I mean? But then I adapted to the Cap house specifically and that layout. So I don't know if I'm still going to live here. I don't think so. I will keep this vacation house and I will build a different house. But anyways, her and Tybalt get married, pregnant, all that good stuff, right? Rocky wanted to have an heir in the Cap dynasty, so that way that heir would take over the Cap dynasty, so Rocky, her reach would be further. You know, that's what you do. You sow your seed, you bear heirs, your heirs take over, it extends your power even though you don't control that area through your heirs. It's you have a connection there, right? It's kind of like having one of your people in that position. Like think politics, your people are in those positions, and so you can move things quicker, faster, easier. So in that same vein, so Rocky put an heir. That was the point. And I was going to divorce Tybalt or whatever, move out, go back to my life in Tartosa, right? Leave him, raise the children, do whatever. But my child is the heir. That changed when I saw that I didn't know whose child it was at the time because no one gave birth to this child. So I had no idea whose child it was at the time. His name is Ace Cap. This was the baby that was in the house. He's a he's a young adult now. Last I saw he was a teenager. Oh my goodness. I was not invited to the birthday party. Okay. He's a young adult now. By the time he was a toddler. Actually, no, he was an infant. When I went there, I was like, yo, whose baby is this? No, he might have been a toddler. No, he was an infant for sure. I was like, whose baby is this? Whose baby is this? He would lay in like his own, he had a diaper that was full. Nobody would be changing it. He'd be crying, screaming his head off. Nobody would be answering and responding to the baby, walking around like nothing's happening. And I was like, oh no, you can't raise my children. None of you have a maternal instinct or paternal instinct. Absolutely not. So had to stay to raise my own child. That's going to take some time, obviously. And so I found out Ace Cap is Virgio's son. Virgio adopted him of his own will. So I moved in and they were there, you know. So Virgio, I'm selected as Maure. So if you see half brother, you're like, huh? I'm Maure right now. This is her brother. This is her older brother, which I always forget about because their age gap is so wide that I forget that they're siblings and that's not like her uncle or something. So we move in. Noel comes over one day because he's had a key to my place since he was a mentee of mine. So he comes in. I don't even know he's here until I see him walking upstairs. And it takes them only a couple of things to say to each other before they're just like, oh my goodness, I love you so much, right? And so the secret lever comes up. I have royalty and legacy, so I don't know if that's attached to the base game now or if it's attached to royal legacy. No idea. But nevertheless, the secret lever option populates. And I'm like, okay, sure, let's do that, right? And also, I'm like, this could be good because I'm realizing that my dynasty can't grow anywhere, right? My dynasty cannot grow in unity, and I'm growing in prestige because I've made alliances, but it's getting difficult to move it up by myself, and it's not growing in unity, so it's staying right here, you know. And when you don't have an heir or really any other family or dynasty, you're seen as a weak dynasty by other dynasties. We can't have that, so I was like, I need heirs, like I need family in my dynasty. So I was like, if it's gonna be my family, it's gonna be with who I choose. I really felt like any child that I have with Tybalt should go to his dynasty. So me and Noel had a child, and they were twins. They were twin girls, Nicola and Valentina. And I call her Val and Nikki. And I added them into the dynasty. They're there. They're amazing. They've actually passed me in prestige a couple of times, both of them. And so Noel, I move him in much later. The girls are about toddlers now. He had come over one day. And I skipped the part. You guys are like probably like, oh my goodness. Well, what'd you say on the birth certificate? I did have the option. Once I was pregnant, the game was like, you have a love child. It's a secret. It's a secret love child. What are you going to do? And I was racking my brain. I really didn't know till we were in the delivering room what I was going to do for sure. And I was like, look, first and foremost, I'm a loyal person. I'm an honest person. I have to be honest. Whatever comes is whatever comes. You can't avoid consequences. So I was like, okay, these are Noel's children, right? So Tybalt is close with the girls, not as tight as he is with Maure. Maure is his biological daughter, but he is still their stepdad. But he did adopt them as a caregiver. So he does respond when they would cry and need feeding and changing and so on and so forth. But no one's really as quick as I am to getting to the girls. You'll notice that moms respond fast and they kind of respond first, unless the dad is kind of like right there. So, but they're close, like they're close and they do love him. They do love him. So that's for sure. So one holiday, Noel now lives here. He had came over one day when the girls were infants, and he like rocked them to sleep in his arms. He's sitting on the bed, holding one of the girls in his arms, and she's falling asleep in his arms, and she's just sleeping in his arms. I've never seen that before. I have never seen an infant sleep in the parent's arms. I've never seen that. So when I saw that, it was just so sweet. That he came over one time again when they were toddlers, and he was playing with them, and he just read them to sleep on their own accord. And usually parents sit on like the toddler bed. They'll sit on a toddler bed and read to the toddler. He didn't. He sat on the floor, crisscross applesauce, and read to her while she was in the bed. And I thought it was just the sweetest thing. And they were playing together. He played with both of them, like he showed affection to both of them. And they had these modulus that they just felt loved and seen. And I was like, oh my goodness, what am I doing? I realized this is their dad and he doesn't live here. Like he's not going to see them grow up. He's not in their lives. So then I moved Noel into the household. And I was like, this is going to be a sticky situation. But at some point, me and Noel openly say, okay, we're together, and Tybalt, me and him have talked, so he doesn't get jealous or anything like that. So he's neither here nor there. So me and Tybalt don't run into issues. Me and Noel knows issues because me and Noel is the jealous type, and that can't be changed. He doesn't have the explore thing on. He's not willing to talk about it. He's not a sharer. So on this romantic holiday, the girls are like adolescents or just became teenagers. I forget, but there's a romantic holiday and me and Tybalt are smooching and stuff like that. Or maybe it was New Year's. I forget. And Noel is right there and he is furious. He is furious with jealousy, just absolutely upset. He won't walk away because he's just locked in. He just can't leave the room. Right. And it just compiles the jealousy on top of himself. And he just gets angry. Right. And it gets so bad that I think they break up, right? They break up, and like the same day that they break up, Gerara, she calls Noel, right? She comes over, and in a nanosecond of them talking, they're flirting with each other. She's flirting with him. Then like the next day she calls, asks him out on a date, and I was like, oh girl. I immediately was like, yeah, you're not my noble advisor. You're not my noble advisor anymore. And I wish there was a prompt. I wish there was a prompt. It's something in the conversation to be like, hey, we're not friends. To stop being friends, you have to actively be mean to the other person. I don't want to do that. I just want to be like, hey, we're not friends. You're cut off. Period. Get out of here. That's what I want. So I don't mess with that lineage. And so because of her, that was just crazy to me. Like the second I was not in the picture, you was in this man's face. Absolutely not. So Rocky and Noel still are not on good terms. Like they're still best friends, the game says, but every time they're in the same place, every time they go to talk to each other, they always end up saying something mean to the other person, usually Rocky first, which I feel like tracks. So their romantic relationship is still very tumultuous. They're not, it's not working. So I moved Noel out because it was just bad. Them living in the same house, as large as the house is, it just wasn't working. Them commingling together, and the girls are teenagers, and I was like, okay, well they can move out, and yes, he can move out. And just yesterday, I realized he hasn't been over to the house since. Like he hasn't been over to the house, which is so odd because he would pop up all the time, just pop up all the time. And he hasn't been around since. I'm like, yo, the girls haven't seen their dad in like a long time. And I thought that was wild. I thought that was really wild. Like they'll see him occasionally when we go out somewhere and he's there, or if a friend threw a party and we show up and Noel was invited, but he hasn't been by the house and he hasn't like called to talk to the girls or called to ask the girls to hang out. And it's probably because Rocky lives here, and their relationship is so tumultuous. So back to Mari. So Noel's not here, and Mari's linked to Obi. They were dating when they were teenagers, and Mari asked me if it was okay for her to marry Obi, and Obi asked his mom if it was okay to marry Mari. I said yes. Gerara said yes, and so I moved them into the house. just because I didn't want him to age up. He was already young adult. He became a young adult before Maure became a young adult. And I was like, oh my goodness, I don't want him, I don't know how fast. Like, I have the lifespan on long, but still, I have no idea how fast, it's going to be. And when I moved him into his life thing, because you can look at the Simology and see how far it is. So how soon they'll age up to the next stage. And Obi's was like halfway. It was like halfway. And I was like, oh my goodness. So I moved Obi into the house. And this is the funny thing that happened. When I moved him in and I wanted to strengthen his family relationship. So I was like, oh, his grandfather isn't in the dynasty. So when he was talking to his mom, I asked if he could join the dynasty. So I think his name is Adikoya, or Dikoye. It's probably Koye for sure. So Koye, we add him in there and the unity drops. This is your unity. The unity is the bar for your family. The unity is based on how well of a relationship everyone in the dynasty has with each other. So it's not just the dynasty head to the heir or the heir to the other members. It's everyone. Everyone has to have a really good relationship with everyone. They have to kind of be in constant communication and so on and so forth. So if you haven't talked to them in a long time, the game does this thing where you'll get this message will pop up here and it'll say, oh, this person and this person, let's say Beatrice and Virgio, because they're siblings. So, and they were in the same dynasty. It'll pop up and say Beatrice and Virgio have an estranged relationship, ultimately because they haven't seen or spoken in a very long time. Their relationship can look like this, and that prompt will come up and the relationship will drop all the way down here. It'll drop to acquaintances, and you will have to go talk to that person. Virgio and Beatrice are going to have to hang out, work on their relationship. Literally, it's not a passive thing. You actively have to kind of stay in constant communication. And that being said, friendly communication with all the members of the family. So the fact that the members of the Capp dynasty kind of all live in the same house, we're in good standing. Because right now, except Beatrice, she doesn't live here. But that hasn't been an issue yet. But I should probably invite her now. Now I'm thinking about it before it becomes an issue. So our unity stability is all the way up to the green. This is where the Durong family usually is, and then on its own it starts to drop before Obi moved in. So when Obi moves in, and we add Koye, and it drops up like right here, or like right here, and I was like, ah, gasp! Oh dear. I didn't know that. Maybe it's because they don't know him very well. And Koye, he passed very early in the game, so he's a ghost, meaning you can't invite him over. You kind of just have to find him out in the ether. And I was like, that's going to be difficult. I'm not focusing on that because even with Obi living here, I wasn't going to focus on him too much because you're just not the main story. So I was like, okay, I'll just remove him from the dynasty. Ugh, fatal error. Removes him from the dynasty. That dropped it down here because to everyone's mind that's in a dynasty, I kicked him out. Okay, Obi kicked him out. That's how everyone's registering it. Obi kicked him out. So his sister and his mom are mad at him, right? And Koye is upset because he got kicked out. I don't know this. Like, that's not resonating for me, when it drops. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna add him back. Thinking me adding him back, everyone's gonna be like, okay, you brought him back into the dynasty, we're not upset anymore. No, no, no. Because again, the unity is based on relationship. At this moment in time, Koye is upset with Obi for being kicked out. So when I bring Koye back in, oh my dear, when I bring Koye back in, it drops like here. It does. And I'm like, okay, everyone just stop doing things. We're just don't touch it anymore. Because he came in and he's upset. So now everyone's mad. Everyone thinks Obi has poor leadership skills. And it's terrible. So his mom is there. Him and his mom's relationship, it drops. It was in like the green all the way up here. It drops down here. Him and his sister are now in the red. They dislike each other. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, what are we gonna do? Right. And so I'm trying to help him in his mom's relationship. But then I'm like, the Durongs by nature, they like each other. Right. So they should be able to figure it out just of their own free will. So I'm gonna move Obi back into his house and just let them figure it out. Because clearly if I try to do it, it's not gonna work. But either before I did that or something, before I did that, Obi, I'm trying to get him and his sister on the same page because at this point they don't like each other, which is crazy. This is his sister. Does Maure know her? She should. I think they just met not too long ago. Here she is. Yes, Amarachi. And so she is Obi's sister, Obi's older sister, and I they ended up not liking each other because of all the moving and cloying. So I invite her over. I'm like, I'm gonna